Hi, everyone. Welcome to Lazy Hype, where we talk all things wellness. Today, I have my beautiful friend, Nicole Zimmerman. She is one of my favorite LA practitioners. Right now, she's in New York. So, thank you so much for taking the time to be here and also for being a part of my life, changing my life in so many ways. And I'm really excited for my community to hear all about you so that hopefully you can impact their lives.
Hey, I'm so excited. Yeah, thanks, Liz. Such a special surprise for you to invite me on your podcast. And yeah, I'm excited to share everything that comes through today.
Yeah, I feel like I was talking about the podcast sometime last year when I met you, and then I just went for it. And then I was like, at some point, you have to be on the podcast. And we kept talking
Yeah,
about it. And here we are a year later. So
we made it.
I love to hear so I know the things I love and enjoy practicing with you, but like what other practices do you offer to the community?
So, yeah, I feel like I do many things that all kind of fall under the same umbrella. So, as you know, and as you've experienced, I always say that my first love in the healing space is breathwork. Breathwork was really like the doorway for me, was really the modality that kind of introduced me to everything else that I do and was really the pivotal modality on my journey of homecoming and healing and really just returning to myself. But in addition to teaching breath work and the various little, techniques that I teach within the breath, I also am a sound healer and I also practice Reiki and energy work. And recently, I would say that I'm a musician too. So I play music and I write music. And yeah, the my why for doing everything that I do, like the larger umbrella, the larger why that all of these modalities fall under is really just for, yeah, the healing of humanity. And I think we've all grown up in a time where there is a lot pulling us away from ourselves, and there's a lot of different voices telling us who to be and what to do and how to act. And because of this, we become very, very disconnected from ourselves and from our souls and from our authenticities and from our hearts. And so all of the modalities that I share are really just an invitation back to self and back to the body and back to remembering who we really are underneath all of, the trauma and the outside voices telling us we're not enough and just the noise. It's like who we really are underneath all of the noise, all of these modalities. I hope will bring all of the people that I work with back to that remembrance because the world really needs that. As we can see, there's a lot of suffering and there's a lot of disconnection and depression and anxiety and just neuroses in the world right now. As you know, Liz, a lot of my sessions take place in a communal space where I'm really bringing people together to all do this work together and to realize we're never going through any of these hardships alone, that we're all feeling sad, angry, shame from time to time, that we all experience these emotions, these very human emotions and these very human experiences, and that we don't have to feel so alone in it. And so, yeah, that's, I guess, a really long-winded way of
Okay.
saying why I do what I do and like what all of these modalities actually are.
I feel like you also forgot poet. Like I read some of your poetry, and
Ah.
it's interesting because it's so deep and it's so beautiful that it made me think really deep. I am not even kidding you. Like I am not a writer by any means, but I read your poetry and I was just like being really introspective and like
Yeah.
connecting with it. So I was
Yeah.
like, why is this really making me feel this way? And
Mm.
questioning everything, right? I start writing down all of my thoughts. And then I literally created a poem out of your poem because, but
Girl.
it was so unintentional because I was just putting my thoughts and my feelings out. And I was like, this girl is so talented. Like she needs to put her poetry
Oh,
out there.
you're so sweet. I'm so honored that my writing inspired you to write. And poetry really There's no such thing as like a perfect poem, right? I think poetry really is just getting your soul onto paper in whatever way that looks. And yeah, I've been writing poetry also. I did forget about that, and that's not something I usually share when I share about what I do, but writing and poetry is a huge part of my life. And I've been writing poetry since I want to say like 18 or 19 years old. And
Wow.
yeah, and writing in the depths of all of the heartbreaks and all of the transitions and all of the joyful moments too. That's something I'm really trying to do more is not just writing when it hurts, but also writing when I feel joy, because I think like as an artist, it's so easy to get pulled into creating our art from our pain, and I'm really trying to do more from joy. But yeah, I have a whole Google Doc about 30, 40 pages long now, just filled with my poems from when I was about 18 years old. And
Wow.
actually, one of my main goals for 2026 is to finally bring all of that poetry out into the world. So thank you for that reminder.
Yeah, no, seriously. Like put a book together. Sure.
Yeah, I'll try.
Um, Out of all the modalities, which one do you recommend or do you think is the most impactful for you and also that you've seen great success within your clients, within the community after offering them?
So you probably know what's coming already, but my favorite modality to teach, and like I said before, is breathwork. Breathwork is my first love, and breathwork really helped me to come back to myself in some really, really challenging moments early on in my healing journey. I don't really like the phrase healing journey, but we'll call it that because people know what that means. But earlier on in my healing journey, when I was healing from addiction and an eating disorder, and yeah, just many, many, many years of being super disconnected from myself, breathwork brought me back home, and breathwork really just cracked my heart so wide open. I'll never forget my first breathwork experience. I felt for what felt like the first time in my entire life, because as little kids, we don't really have the capacity to deal with these more intense or emotionally charged things that may be going on around us, like say like our parents fighting or some deeper trauma that we may have experienced as children. We really don't have the tools to know how to hold those emotions or those sensations. So we as children we turn to these protective mechanisms that we then carry into adulthood. And when we're adults, we actually can take care of ourselves. But these mechanisms, or yeah, these protective mechanisms, I like to call them, from our childhoods follow us, and then it end up becoming very maladaptive in adulthood. And so my coping mechanism from a very young age, because there was a lot of fighting in my house. There was a lot of chaos. My parents went through a really gnarly divorce, amongst some other things that happened in my life that I won't fully go into right now. So my protective mechanism was to dissociate
Mm,
and to just completely, every time something felt hard as a child, I would just completely leave my body.
mm,
And this evolved as I got older. When I was younger, it was anxiety, and it was actually like I would physically leave my body. I would like astral project out of my
mm,
body and kind of just have like this bird's eye view of my life, which was really trippy as a child, but it was my way of protecting myself from not having to be in my body.
mm,
And then as I got into my teen years, it evolved into addiction and drugs and alcohol, and then it evolved into an eating disorder. And it took many different shapes throughout my life. And so I just went my entire life not feeling my emotions and not being in my body. And so eventually I reached a point where my addiction was really just destroying me and really dragging me down. And so when I walked into that breathwork ceremony and did a breathwork journey, I felt everything that I had been pushing away for my entire life. And I realized that I actually do have the capacity and the ability to feel these things that I had told myself on a subconscious level for my entire life that I was not safe to feel. And so it really just was the beginning of me rewriting my narrative that it is actually safe to be in my body and that it is safe to feel. And Something that I really love about breathwork and why I love teaching this modality and why I have been teaching this modality for 6 years now and why I am teaching other people now how to become breathwork facilitators is the breath is something that is always with us. So your breath is with you from the moment that you come into this world, and it will be with you until the moment that you transition to the other side. And when we can learn the power of our breath, and when we can learn these different ways and these different techniques with our breath, we realize that we have the power to heal ourselves. And we realize that we have the power to take ourselves to the places that we want to go.